Well, hello to you. Welcome back. It's Relationships at Work, your leadership guide to building workplace connections and avoiding blind spots. I'm your host, Russel Lolacher, communications leadership expert, a couple of decades under my belt, both those areas. Whole heap of curiosity too, just like you, on how we can make the workplace a better place. These are mini episodes. They drop every Thursday, just quick, valuable bits of information to help your mindset for the week ahead. They're all inspired by the weekly Raw Note newsletter, which you can absolutely sign up for free. Just go to relationshipsatworkshow.com. Up at the top, you'll see a button to lead you right to where it gets to the inbox. There's steps you have to take. I'm not going to go through it here, but nice and easy and free. The focus today, however, is the frustrating expectations we have of leaders. When we go to work, we have expectations about our experience, what we want to happen, and how we want to be treated. Some of the most common expectations we have include respect, growth and development, appreciation, trust, safety, both physical and psychological, work-life balance. Any of these ringing a bell? They're pretty foundational. Of course, this list could be much, much longer depending on our roles and personal values. But when it comes specifically to leadership expectations, I've had some recent conversations where employees expressed very clear ideas about what they expect from their leaders. Transparency, honesty, consideration, care, action, that they actually do things instead of just talking about things, and communication. Here's the problem. Many of those in supervisory positions aren't actually leaders. You know this, I know this. They're put in there because a job needed to be filled, or they did really well fixing a problem in their last gig. So now you're in a role, but you don't have the leadership skills. The thing is, a lot of those leaders have never been trained. It's not their fault. I'm sure you've been in those positions where you're like, okay, I guess I'll have to figure it out. Nobody's here to help me. Nobody's here to support. So I have to figure it out on my own, for better or for worse. And then we get into being too busy, and you know how this works. When employees set expectations for those leaders, though, and those expectations aren't met, real frustration follows. Employees see leaders who are too busy, unresponsive, withholding crucial information, or failing to prioritize their team as frustrating. This creates a different situation because employees assume that the people responsible for their growth and well-being are leaders, when in reality, they aren't. They don't have the training for it. They're too busy putting out fires. I spoke with one employee who had spent over 2 years, trying to engage with their boss. They were attempting to build understanding and open communication and a sense of direction. And they were met with silence at every single turn, or at least not enough information to feel like they were getting anything out of it. They felt undervalued, placated, outright ignored, actually. So my advice to them was, start looking for another job. It's tough advice, and one not a lot of people want to hear, especially when the employees actually love their work, like this person. They had innovative ideas. They wanted the job to be better. They wanted the experience to be better. They wanted to contribute, but after 2 years, 2 years of nothing. And we can't turn people into good leaders simply by wishing they were. Leadership is a choice, and they have to make that for themselves. We as leaders, you and I, we make those decisions every single day in how we show up and how we want to show up. And when I say employees, and I've said employees a few times, I include leaders in that too. Leaders are employees as well. Leaders need leaders. And many emerging leaders with valuable insights and contributions are muted or minimized because they too lack strong leadership above them. So how can we as leaders, you and I, navigate the expectations placed on us while also managing our own expectations of those we report to? First, let's look at this as an employee and having to lead the leader. When our so-called, you can't see this, but I'm doing air quotes right now. When our so-called leader proves they aren't actually leading, it's time to be realistic and take control of the situation. We have to be honest. So let's first clarify what's within their control, our leader. Trust isn't just about assuming someone will support you, it's also about recognizing when they won't. I trust that they won't support me. I trust that they won't be the leader I need them to be. We need to first understand what our manager can and cannot do for us. So here's an example: career growth. So we have to define our own career path and identify how our manager can be useful along the way. Can they introduce us to someone more helpful? Can they approve a course that aids in our progression? Even if they aren't a mentor or champion of our growth, they can still be a resource or facilitate the next step forward. Another thing we can do is communicate instead of assuming. Rather than us assuming our managers don't care, we need to take initiative and ask for what we want. A lot of the time, they're too busy. That's their excuse for not being able to lead. So how about, I'll use another example, feedback. We feel our boss should provide more feedback, but they rarely do. So instead of assuming they don't care, maybe request a regular check-in to discuss our performance and goals, like set it up for them. We can even propose the structure of those check-ins to ensure they benefit our career, because it's about us. They're not making those proactive steps, so we need to be proactive on their behalf to benefit ourselves. After all, they haven't actually taken the lead on any of this, so we may need to. Now let's flip this around and look at this as leaders when we have assumptions put upon us, because our team absolutely has those assumptions. They absolutely have them. So as a leader, we need to get curious. If we aren't feeling connected to our team or don't fully understand their expectations, curiosity, it's come up a lot on this show, but it is right there in something we need to do. We need to be curious. So first, proactively ask our employees what their needs are. We can't just assume, we can't read their minds, so we actually have to ask. Instead of assuming what they expect, we have to ask thoughtful questions to uncover what truly matters to them. So here we go. We might assume employees prefer autonomy, but some actually crave more guidance. Some will look at that as micromanaging, while others will look at that as this is the direction I've always been wanting. So we can ask questions like, what's one thing I could do directly to better support your success? Or what kind of feedback or guidance is most helpful for you? With this regular curiosity-driven conversation we can have, we will create space for employees to share their expectations that might otherwise go unsaid. Another thing we can do as leaders with assumptions put upon us is be curious about those assumptions. Employees carry them. They carry them around. They're unspoken, but they got them. And sometimes they're unrealistic or shaped by past experiences that have nothing to do with us. So we need to explore those assumptions to align expectations and avoid any miscommunication. An example would be we notice that our employees expect instant email responses, like just right away. And this leads to frustration when that doesn't happen. They think you don't care. They think that they're not as important. So how about instead of ignoring the issue, we can get curious and ask questions like, what are your expectations for response times and what would be most helpful to you? Or have there been times when delayed responses created challenges for you? Like, is there actual results from these delayed responses? Or are you just pissed about the response when really it doesn't have much impact? Let's discuss how we can balance responsiveness with focused work. Now, this curiosity-driven approach allows us as leaders to clarify boundaries, while it also helps us address the real concerns behind employee expectations, whether they're realistic or not. Now, by doing this work, both as the employee leader who's looking to have to lead their own bosses, or if we're leaders ourselves and those assumptions are put upon us and we need to better understand them, this all aligns expectations all the way around. As employees and as leaders, we can create a more effective and less frustrating working relationship. One that's far better than a relationship that pushes employees out the door because their quote-unquote leader is a lost cause. Whether we're helping those above us to address our own assumptions or helping our own team who have assumptions about us. We need to show that we're not the type of leaders that are a lost cause and pushing people out the door. We just have to show them. There we are. That's it. Another mini episode of Relationships at Work, your leadership guide to building workplace connections and avoiding blind spots. I hope you've enjoyed this one. A little quick, a little fast, a little in, a little out. I hope these mini episodes resonate with you, and looking by the feedback I get around them, you do. You really, really do. You really like them. So I look forward to, there's so much I want to talk to you about that's coming up with some format changes with the show, but I don't want to spoil things, and we're not quite there yet. So we'll get there. I just want to pique your curiosity on what the hell's Russell doing? I'm glad you asked. Can't tell you yet, but it's coming. All right, we'll talk to you again soon. Take care.